Okay. First thing we always do is a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Epuwic, Prince Edward Island, Mi'kmaqi, is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Just a couple of things tonight. Tonight is the first night that if you haven't registered, that we won't be accepting speakers from the floor. The second thing is, could you please put your devices on silent, just to not interrupt our meeting. Okay, number 2 is approval of the agenda. Okay. Moved by John McFarland and second by Ann Van Donkersgoed. Any comments or changes or additions? Okay, all in favor of the agenda? Aye. Okay. The third item is disclosure of conflict of interest. Do we have anybody that's in conflict of interest tonight on any of the items on our agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 4. It's the adoption of the November 25th, 2024 Committee of Council meeting. And the motion is that the minutes of the November 25th, 2024 Committee of Council meeting be adopted as written. And I'll give you a minute to look over those meetings. Okay, moved by Councillor Spinn, second by Councillor Van Donkersgoed. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion is carried. We don't have any presentations or delegations for this meeting, so we'll move on to number 6, which is reports. We have a number of reports. The King's Playhouse, it's included in your package, but I'm not sure if we have anybody here from the King's Playhouse or not? John's not here, okay. So that report is included in your package on page 5, and if you have any questions on it, you can email Joan and we'll get some answers to your questions. Number 6.1 or 6.2 is the Montague Waterfront Development Corporation. I see that Brogan is here. Did you have anything to add to your report, or did you want to give your report? Sure, go ahead. No, there's one there. You just tap the. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no, I don't have like too much to add towards it. It's more just we talked at our last meeting, and when we put in our application for the town-owned facilities grant, I just thought it'd be a good idea for me to kind of come in and like be present if there were any questions or anything like that. My report just kind of outlined some of the things we included in the application. I couldn't get into too many details because I did kind of wanted to keep it brief, and I think you guys review it as a council as you go through it. I wasn't entirely sure of the whole process, so like I said, I just wanted to kind of present some of the numbers and just kind of like what we're asking for. Because last year you guys approved the camera system upgrade, which was great. But I was just kind of more including more items in the project for this year. And yeah, like if you read through the report, obviously I just outlined some of those numbers. And when you guys do meet to discuss the items for the town-owned facilities grant, I just thought to include that these ones are pretty important to us. And I think like some of the main ones, like I mentioned, is just upgrading the public bathroom doors. The doors in the freight shed, adding ADs, adding gutters on the station building because the other ones do have it, but that one doesn't. And something kind of important that we mentioned, and I'm sure there's a lot of other business in the area that's just kind of increasing the visibility for especially like the waterfront and like the businesses down there, not just us obviously, but everything happening down there. So we just wanted to kind of upgrade that and improve kind of the visibility, the signage, and all of those items. And yeah, so like as an organization, obviously our mission is to better the waterfront and the community and improve upon the town assets, which we obviously hold highly. And yeah, we just wanted to basically wanted all the items we included that we were asking the town are kind of the on-land items. And we were going to fund the kind of marine related items is basically, yeah, that was like our main ask. So I just kind of wanted to be here, like I said, and, just present kind of my report on that regard. So, yeah, thank you. Just wonder if you have any
Questions for
questions.
Brogan? We probably will meet with Brogan to discuss the application. Do we?
Yeah.
We can, I mean, we, usually take them as a whole to council in regards to
Yeah.
the asks, and then council determines, what the budget amount is and
Yeah, okay.
according to facilities and needs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Okay. There is a lot of different needs for it and a lot of different facilities, and we have a lot of facilities in Three Rivers. We did just recently discuss the AED with John, and we'll get back to you on that.
Sure,
So,
yeah,
Can I make
Yeah, go ahead.
a couple comments?
Yep.
absolutely.
There was some discussion on the differences between the Playhouse and the waterfront. Just wanted to point out that with the in-kind amounts between the Playhouse and the waterfront, the insurance for the Playhouse is $44,800, and the insurance for the waterfront is $10,500. So there's a discrepancy there, and it's really around the cost of the insurance. And around the bookkeeping, the Playhouse bookkeeping is $21,000 because it's a year round,
Right.
whereas the waterfront is quite a bit less from our end because it's $8,400. When they talked about a $44,800 cash grant, it wasn't a cash grant. Again, it was like coverage of the insurance.
Okay.
There was, and to be fair, there was a project for the remediation of the Playhouse that went over budget by about $45,000. And we had to take that from our surplus to cover it off. So there are reasons why there are some discrepancies
Sure.
between what we do with,
Yeah, yeah, and it
two
wasn't,
facilities.
yeah, that's why, and like, thanks, John, I appreciate it, and I was kinda like not trying to outline that, you know, we're like apples and oranges, it's just more, just like, yeah, I was just kinda pointing out when I didn't see those numbers, so when I was going through like the Three Rivers approved grants, for year ending March, I was just, yeah, I didn't realize like kinda where it was going towards, and yeah, like, we're not trying to be greedy in any regard, it's just more, yeah.
my point is only just to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate, yeah.
Yeah,
And like you said, it is year round, which that makes sense for sure, yeah.
And there is so many different things included in the grant. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, we appreciate all the support, it's nothing to do with that, it was more just saying we thought it was a reasonable request on our behalf, so anyway, that's more, I was just here, cause I wasn't sure if the process was, you guys reviewed it as a council privately, so I just wanted to be here, like, publicly to kinda go over some of the numbers that we were asking for, so it wasn't just a surprise when you guys read through it.
We won't be doing that till the new year.
It'll be done in public second.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's always
Oh,
done in
okay.
public.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Budget meetings.
Yep.
Great, okay, perfect,
Yep.
yeah.
No,
so-
you had a great year at the waterfront. It
Perfect.
was really busy down there, and everything looked great. So, yeah.
Perfect,
No, thanks,
guys.
Robert.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Martine has a question.
I just,
Yep.
you know, you appointed me, Debbie, as.
Yes. No. Go ahead.
As liaison with the waterfront,
Yep.
so I attend all the meetings, and and I'm not sure a process on this, but one thing that's been identified over and over by everybody down there, and it's like kayaks now, bike rentals, there's a restaurant, Kiki Bar, office, trail system, VIC, you know, there's so many things down there, but the signage.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, at the last meeting, that what is the process to get, you know, a really nice, the train sign is there and it advertises Artisans on Main and it advertises the VIC, but there's 7 or 8 other businesses there. So how can we fix that sign, and whose responsibility is that, and what's the process? Because I want to help with that.
Yeah.
Signage on Main Street is key, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss that with staff. In the past, I think Brogan, they usually paid for their own signs, didn't they?
Yeah, it's more just
Yeah.
like the structure, like,
Yeah.
and which is more, I think, just like to drive kind of tourism, like, like when, if you've been in Montague, you know, when you get to the bridge and the river, like, you know, everything's there, but you don't want people to kind of drive by or like not know what they're looking for. And I guess like that train sign, like I have been there for going on 4 years now, and I like didn't really notice it was there. we cleared some of the like landscaping around it, but it's still not like that prevalent. So it's just be ideal. That's kind of the point. We're just trying to like make all the businesses and the waterfront as like the playground. Like you could show everything's there instead of hopefully people not like driving through and missing items, right? So
Yeah, no, we can have some conversations
sure.
about that with,
100%.
with John and staff, yeah, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Martina.
Okay, thanks,
Debbie.
Morgan.
Thank you.
The next is, 6.3 is the library report. Not sure if we have anybody here from the library? No? Okay. The library has, the two libraries, we have two libraries, one at the Cavendish Farms Wellness Center and the other one is at the school in Georgetown. It's the Genevieve Solomon Library. The report shows that, these two sites are a lot more than a library. They're, provide a lot of different, things to the residents of Three Rivers, and I'm always grateful for all that they do. And we should make note of a thanks to the Montague and Eastern PEI Rotary Club. Much of the work described in this report would not be possible without the support our two libraries, along with 6 other branches in Eastern region, received from the Montague and Eastern PEI Rotary. We are grateful to the Rotary Club for enabling us to better support our community. And from Three Rivers, I want to also say a big thank you to the Rotary Clubs for all the support they give those two libraries. There wouldn't be nearly as much going on there without that. So thank you to the Rotary Club. We have requests for decisions. Do I not have them on there? Okay, next is 7 is a request for decisions. 7.1 is request for decisions 24-52 from Joe Donahoe on page 12. Joe isn't here, is he? No? Okay. Joe, well, I guess I can read Joe. Joe's request is that we have a registered planner review the amendments to the bylaw 2023-02, define private institutional and public institutions, review definitions on page 158, 161, and 165, Charlottetown zone. Anyway, Joe's got a request here. I guess the biggest thing here is to have a registered planner review our amendments. Did you want to talk about that, or did you want me to?
Just once we submit once we finalize the bylaw, development bylaw, it then goes to the minister's office where it's reviewed by professional planners, and they would return any comments to us. So it does go through a review process. That this is adding an extra step, in my opinion.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, our two planners know what they're doing. So what do we want to do with this? Do we want to move it ahead, or do you? No? Yep. Let's go with this. Okay. So we'll leave this as is. It won't go any further. Okay, 7.2 is request for decision 24-54, loan renewal, and I'll let Danielle speak to that.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town and utility have a split loan that matures as of December 31st, 2024. The total combined amount of the loan at the time of renewal is approximately $300,000. So the request is for staff to request quotes, for council to allow staff to request quotes for interest rates and terms from various financial institutions, and bring the information back to next council meeting for council to consider.
Okay, move it forward, okay. So that will move forward to the next council meeting. The next on our agenda is 7.3, request for decision 24-55, website redesign quote on page 14. Danielle? Yeah, Danielle, you can, yeah, she can, okay, you can speak to this, Danielle.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town's current website has been in place for a number of years. Staff have been reviewing other options, and upon doing so, it has become obvious that the current site is dated and the security is not up to current municipal standards. Staff and management met with representatives of GHD Digital, a company that has built and managed over 700 municipal websites in Canada. They have an excellent product that is reasonably priced and much easier to operate than the current website. GHD Digital is a company that is part of the CNU procurement program, which was formerly known as the FPEIM trade program, which is permitted to be used as per the town's procurement policy. GHD Digital provided a quote in the amount of $11,850 plus HST for implementation of their starter plan option and a quote for ongoing subscription fee of $4,220 per year for 3 years. There's also an option of additional services to be added in the future. So the request is for council to approve the implementation and subscription with GHD Digital for a Newtown website for the total amount quoted of $16,070 plus HST. This includes the implementation in a 3-year subscription.
Okay, discussion on this request. Councilor Monroe?
Yeah, I'm just curious, what, $11,850 for a starter plan. What's the next one look like? Like, where's the levels of service and on this website? What's a starter plan?
So it is included in the package, the platform that includes in the starter plan, which would be your, like a standard type plan for a website that's actually, we did see a whole tutorial, and it's much user-friendly and much more, it's like live videos, all that sort of thing, like on the website. It's much more attractive than our current one.
Yeah.
And then there is included in the package those add-ons that we can add on at a future time if we're happy with what we're receiving, that sort of thing. But we were pretty impressed with what they had to offer.
Yep, no, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Someone to turn
Oh.
on. Yeah. So the add-ons are really around adding forms, payments, stuff like that. So essentially, we would have a much more attractive, usable website with the starter plan that we have now. And then there would be additional, and even the additional fees are pretty nominal for additional services. When I spoke with the representatives from the company, they said most municipalities start out with the plan that we're having. Then as time goes on, they can figure out, do we need to add, do we want to accept payments over it? Do we want to do this, do that? And then that's where your additional services come in.
It's also more secure, is it not? Yeah.
Our current platform is, oh my God, remind me, Joan, what it is. WordPress, which is a dated, out-of-date system with limited security. It's about a 20-year-old platform, where this one has much more usability and security.
Okay, John?
Thank you, Worship. That was my question, is who are we using now? I thought it was Don's, Bins, is it Don Bins?
Yeah.
I thought it was her group that we were using, but it's WordPress?
WordPress is a platform that is built on. Yeah, this is,
Who created the one we're using now?
it was before my time, so I'm not really.
It was
sure.
Don, was it?
Down
Okay.
there. Yeah, yeah.
So what are we paying for that now, just as a comparison between these two? It'd be a lot less, right?
It is less.
Yeah. Yeah, but this newer one is more up-to-date, more interactive, more,
And much easier for staff, so you may have a bit more expense on one end where you may have the savings on the other. So right now, staff have to go into the background to do limited changes, whereas this new one is basically drop and drag with photos. We can have things where, if people want to ask questions, we can have that on the website. It's much more, we were shown a demo of a new one that, can't remember, it was Gander, or just one they put it, but there's a reason why they do 700 websites in municipal governments in Canada. Everything from the large cities right down to a lot smaller towns than ours. Anyway, it's just, like I say, what we looked at it, it's just very functional, very easy to manage, and I think would add a lot to the transparency that we're seeking in our management of our municipality.
Was there a quote from anybody else? Any other company?
No, we didn't, we went with these folks because the price was, comparable, they're part of the procurement program, and simply because they do so many,
Yeah.
and they do it well.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe Danielle can provide you with some, yeah, she can do a comparable and send it out.
Sure.
Counselor Spin?
Yeah, I'm just curious, where are they from, Daniel?
They're based in London, Ontario.
And they're that much better than Don's was, or?
I would say.
I should say Don's, that wouldn't be that old either, right?
Oh, it's
In terms
2018.
in terms of websites, it's old.
All right.
We do get people that call that find it hard to manipulate that website. Somebody was looking for minutes the other day and they found it hard to manipulate the website to find agendas and minutes.
One other point that I didn't make is that our current website does not work well on mobile phones. Most people now use mobiles to look at websites. Our current website doesn't. This new one is fully functional on a phone.
Okay, what's the consensus? Move it ahead, okay? Okay, now that brings us to adjournment to this meeting. Moved by Alan, second by John McFarland, Councilor McFarland, okay? All in favor? Okay, so we do have a special meeting of council after this meeting. We didn't put a time on that, did we? Okay, okay. So, we're gonna start again. We're going to call the December 16th, 2024 special council meeting to order, and we're going to do the land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epuwic. Prince Edward Island, Mi'kma'ki is covered by historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Agenda as presented, I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, moved by Councilor McLean, second by Councilor Spin. Any comments on the agenda? It's fairly clear. Okay, all in favor of the agenda? Aye. Okay. Any disclosure of conflict of interest on anything on this agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 4. Presentations and delegations, and we have a name of Charles Hicken who wants to speak tonight. So Charles, I'll ask you to come to the podium and just, for the record, state your name and where you live. No, you have to hit it. So I should just say, we allow 5 minutes to present to council, and we don't debate with you during that 5 minutes, but council can ask you questions after the presentation. So.
My name is Charlie Hicken, and I'm a resident of Three Rivers. I'd like to speak to the process to change building heights in non-service zones from 3 stories to 42 feet. I understand it's council's right to make these amendments. What I am opposed to is how this happened. The Planning Board Committee discussed this article at great length and decided by a majority vote that it should read 3 stories with no variances. Then the committee chair tabled the Planning Board recommendation to council and then put forth an amendment to the document using the very same words that she proposed at Planning Board and was voted down by the Planning Board members. It is my feeling that the duty of a committee chair is to present and support decisions of the committee she chairs. That did not happen in this case, and she went behind their back and prepared an amendment to their report, and all of their hard work was for naught. Common sense tells me this is not the way things should happen. A number of amendments were discussed by council. However, these were never received a seconder or were never voted on. The only vote was to adopt the policy as amended. That should have been ruled out of order. As such, this policy has not received first reading, and council must go back and vote on each amendment with a seconder. Any questions?
Actually, I guess I can take responsibility for not agreeing with planning board. As I pointed out, it was me that brought that up at council, not the chair of planning board, so that was me. And the reason I think I stated that night, Charles, was that if a farmer wants to build anything, how's he gonna do it? We have, just up the road here, we have somebody that has a soybean drying business that has silos that are a lot higher than, what is it, 42? Yeah, 36 feet. So how would we accommodate that, I guess is my question.
I guess what I'm opposed to is that the chair of the committee spoke against the proposals that the committee put forward.
I believe that was me that spoke against the committee.
I think if you look at the minutes of the meeting, it will reflect what I said.
And council did vote on the we read the changes, and council did vote on the amendments.
That is not correct.
Okay,
I think you'd better go back and look at the minutes.
okay, Daniel, did you want to speak to this? Because we had discussions on this today.
Certainly, yep. Okay. So in the MGA, section 125, number 3, the title is amendment. A proposed bylaw may be amended after its first reading, and if it is amended, the amendment shall be read word by word at the meeting, even if copies of the bylaw with the proposed amendment are made available to the public. So, since the amendment was made before the first reading took place, it did not have to be read out word for word. It would have to be read out word for word tonight if we were making further amendments, is how the MGA is, reads. I do have the amendments in front of me, though, if we would like it read out loud to, it's completely up to council and mayor's discretion.
Yeah,
But
if
it
you
does
wanna-
not have
yeah.
to be done so as per the
Yeah.
MGA.
No, we can go ahead and just, okay, yep.
Yeah,
An amendment requires a seconder and requires to be voted on.
which it was.
It was.
It was, the wording was, the council voted on the amended changes.
Yep.
The council voted on the document as amended, was what the vote was on.
And that included the changes.
But it couldn't include them until they were approved. Do you not understand?
But we approved the whole document.
You cannot put an amendment in a document until the amendment itself is approved.
I don't think that's what our understanding is, according to the Municipal Government Act.
Any other questions?
Anybody have any questions? We okay to move forward here? Okay. Okay, so what we're voting on tonight is a second reading, a second approval, and then adoption of the Town of Three Rivers bylaw, development bylaw. So 5.1 is Development Bylaw 2024-05, second reading. Be it resolved that the Town of Three Rivers Development Bylaw 2024-05 as amended be read a second time. Okay, need a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Van Donkersgoed, second by Councillor McFarland. Any?
Your worship, would you like me to read those amended changes so
Sure,
they're clear
go ahead,
on
yeah, read
public
the,
record?
no, read the amendments, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Section 3.1 Administration. 1, the development officer shall administer this bylaw. The development officer shall have authority to approve or deny development permits in accordance with the bylaw, except for the following classes of development, which shall be determined by council. Just C, new residential development containing 7 or more units was the part that was amended on that. 3.6 variances. Number 4, no variance shall be permitted for building story heights or amount of stories as set out in the performance standards tables of the following zones, whether they are centrally serviced, R3, MU, and HC. 5.2 accessory buildings and structures. Number 9, any maximum height restrictions set out in the bylaw shall not apply to steeples, spires, lightning rods, water tanks, monuments, elevator enclosures, mechanical enclosures, silos, barns, grain elevators, flagpoles, lighting standards, television or radio antennas, telecommunications towers, ventilators, skylights, chimneys, clock towers, power transmission towers, cupolas, wind turbines, or utility poles. 6.1.3 provisions, agricultural zone, AG, maximum building height 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.2.3 provisions, rural, RU, maximum building height 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.3.3 provisions, rural residential, RR, maximum building height 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.4.3 provisions, low density residential zone, R1, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. Partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.5.3 provisions, medium density residential R2, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. Partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.8.3 provisions, mixed use zone, MU, maximum building height, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.9.3 provisions, highway commercial zone, HC, maximum building height, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.10.3 provisions, community zone C, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.11.3 provisions, institutional zone I, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.12.3 provisions, light industrial zone LI, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.13.3 provisions, heavy industrial zone HI, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.14.3 provisions, resource extraction zone RE, maximum building height 12.8 meters, 42 feet. 6.15.3 provisions, parks and open space zones OS, maximum building height, central services 12.8 meters, 42 feet, partial or private services 12.8 meters, 42 feet.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. So those are the changes, the amendments. And we have a mover and a seconder for the second reading, so if there's no more discussion, all in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, 5.2 is Development Bylaw 2024-05, second approval. Be it resolved that the Town of Three Rivers Development Bylaw 2024-05 be, as amended, be approved. Mover and a seconder? Okay, moved by Councillor Van Donkersgoed, second by Councillor McFarland. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, and 5.1 is Development Bylaw 2024-05 adoption. Be it resolved that the Town of Three Rivers Development Bylaw 2024-05 as amended be adopted. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Van Donkersgoed. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carried. And that brings us to an adjournment. Motion for adjournment? Moved by Councillor Monroe, second by Councillor McLean. Okay, thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great holiday, and hopefully we'll see some people return in the new year.